we're talking how effective have they been in representing them. Yes, we can have it here.
The whole question of reducing the cost burden of the electoral system in Sierra Leone, increasing cooperation, Charlie said, and then I will add better management of diversity. We've had situations where we've had the courts to allocate seats to SLBP in the Western area. We've had the courts to allocate seats to APC in Kenema and Kaila. We've had a situation where we have to give the body to the judiciary to decide representation. I think that's problematic. And what pleasantly came out surprising is that Sierra Leone's diversity management, because we asked the question, is government treating your ethnic group unfairly? The number of people that said never, it rose from between 2022, it rose from 59% to 69%.
Papa
that's the situation. So we have to, I mean, as Charlie rightly mentioned, how do we increase cooperation among political parties? But to me, the biggest question, what makes me to be a fan of proportional representation, is how do we minimize the cost of elections? We just did a paper on the cost of violence and political instability. Was minus to this report by funds for peace, the fragility study, the global fragility study. Normally, when this report comes out, what's Sierra Leone's performance on the peace index? That same year that I'm talking about, Sierra Leone dropped by 21 points on the peace index, just because of in politics. But you need to agree on, let's have electricity, let's have roads. So in the context of those disagreements, the national interest, political parties always bow to national interest. So with those remarks, I think I will leave it at that. I think the best system that will make us manage the state effectively, I think, will be the proportional representation system on the basis that it helps us manage fractionalized elites, it helps us increase the national character of political parties. Why can't political parties think of having a national character? Why should they be having one region strategy? And it's always finger pointing. You know, that region is tribalistic. No, this region is tribalistic. We need to force them to develop a national character. Thank you.
Figoman, thanks again for that. As always, I know you will always come to us with figures, and I hope you'll be able to throw some more light on the specific cost of elections. That's something that would be I'll be interested in joining the listeners and those who will be interested in. Because in the last
morning, good afternoon to everybody, and morning, good afternoon to everybody, and thanks for having me on this panel. So you asked a specific question about women, although shouldn't just ask women questions, but thank you. So on that, in Kenya, no, In Kenya, Kenya has one way of doing this. Tanzania has actually quite a similar way also. But I've done interviews with women in Kenya, women in Tanzania, and their concern was that when these seats are reserved, safe seats, that they were actually marginalized. People saw them as, oh, no more contest. And because they're not competitive, they're seen as, oh, they do it because they can't compete equally to men. So let's have a special position for them. And the same women found that people didn't respect them, they didn't take them seriously, and they didn't really have a constituency. They were just sort of women at large, but they had no specific place that they are responsible for. So it's a problematic system to just say, let's have women one side, and then we'll have everything else for the men. Lena mentioned having, I think, how did you call it, Lena? Credible women or effective women. Yes, how effective are the men? You know, no offense to men in here, but you know, men are not effective either. Now, I'm sorry, sorry, I'm not, I know this is going live, parliamentarians forgive me. It's not directed at anybody. But it's just over the years, we have this thing, it's almost like we want to put women to a higher standard. And I'm not saying that means have substandard women. I just think that we have to be true to ourselves and say, in as much as we can point out to the deficiencies in women, we can also point out these same deficiencies in men. And let us be equal about our critique. The two panelists, it seems everybody here is saying, I'm not in favor of one or the other, although Andrew came out openly with PR. I think Charlie was going in the direction of PR. So how can I put myself? I think, to Lena's point, our systems are problematic. You can have whichever system, but if we have deep-rooted inequities, deep-rooted structural issues, then either system will yield problems. We talk about first past the post, and how first past the post means that you are closer to your constituency. You know your parliamentarian. I did not know my parliamentarian. Maybe that's on me. As a political scientist, I should have gone to look for that person. But just because it was under an FPTP system, I didn't necessarily know that person. And we as 50/50 talked to women who said, we don't know this person because we were not the person, we were not the ones who voted for that person. We have electors, and it was mentioned, that you pay money to, and so they come on, it's actually the party still that determines who goes into that position, whether it's FPTP or PR. Now, PR, so then when people say, well, PR is problematic because you don't really know your representative, I would say, did we know it any better under FPTP? Now, when it comes to PR, there are ways, and I think this is what Gavin talked about, it's how do you engineer the systems in such a way that it reflects the needs that we have as a country. You have systems that you can have citizens vote for the parliamentarians on the list. You have closed lists, which is what we did have, as you mentioned, Joe. We had no clue who got there. It was only after the elections that then we're like, oh, it's this person, it's this person. Well, we're not really like this person, you know. How you manage camp? So how did that happen? Parties had an inordinate amount of control. We talked to women who said, my people wanted me there, but because I didn't have the money, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the, the know-how to get into these positions, I was marginalized and I was left out. So how do we change PR? That's not necessarily a feature just of the PR system, it's a feature of how we practice the PR system. So can we do an open list proportional representation system where you actually have voters that cast their vote for a candidate within a party list and not just the party? And you can actually have, that yes, the party vote determines how many seats the party wins, but individual candidate votes decide which people on the party get into that place. So that gives some agency to us as citizens. You've got countries, Brazil, Finland, Sweden, Indonesia, that practice that kind. There are some cons to this. So whilst, yes, it does increase our choice as voters, it encourages party competition internally, which can also be problematic for women because we all know money really influences our parties and who gets where they get. But we can talk about how to manage financial overcommitments. We can talk about how to make elections more affordable, also going to Andrew's point. And it discourages party elites from controlling the list. So those are the benefits of this open system. But it can cause fragmentation or intra-party rivalries. And we already see this happening. I mean, even now in these most recent elections, we see jockeying within parties. We see tensions. So you can have, it can really cause that to rise up. And then it can also, as I said, increase campaign costs because you have that competition going on. But then you have another form, which is the flexible list proportional representation. And here you could do both. Voters can vote for the party, or they can vote for a candidate on a party list. So there are different ways, and candidate votes can reorder the list. So the party might have one list, but as citizens, depending on who we vote for, we can create some reordering of that list and have people that we would like to have there. On women, the 30% quotas have said, yes, you can have that in the FPTP. So I think one thing I'd ask our presenters is tell us how this would work within the FPTP system. We are 50-50, we are 50-50. So we call for parity, actually, and you should feel blessed that we're not saying 52%, because we're more. But we're saying at least you can do a zipper system under the PR, where you alternate one woman, one man, and don't even make it one man, one woman, which is what you have 2 men and a woman. You can alternate it so you can get the 50% that we talk about. The representation of smaller parties. So some would say PR allows more parties to come in. This point has been mentioned. You can, if you engineer it in such a way where you have this 11.9 threshold, the benefits of PR, bringing in more ethnic groups, given that we have the plurality, we don't necessarily see that. And I want to just bring in numbers. Andrew loves numbers. I love numbers too. And we can see that even with AB, he's absolutely right. It has improved in terms of the perception of belief that government is managing things more effectively, which is a good thing. But we're also seeing trust in each other. It's been pretty bad. And we have a paper on this that we wrote 3 years ago. Should Sierra Leoneans be worried about ethnicity or something in the advance of elections? We saw that there has been an increasing level of mistrust. So this is people who say that they trust neighbors, that they trust people from other ethnic groups, and that they trust people from other religions. It has dropped. All 3 of those have dropped. People from other ethnic groups have dropped by 10%. So in 2022, you had 52% that said that they trust people from other ethnic groups. This has gone down to 46%. So under half of citizens say that they trust people from another ethnic group. What does that mean? Where we have a system right now that's polarized, and it's de facto 2 political party system. How do we mitigate that in such a way where we can bring in other ethnic groups? Putting the threshold down is one way, but you do have the implications on cost on our elections and implications on the number of people that come in. But when we know that, again, apologies, but politicians can really manipulate tensions. It's not necessarily that citizens don't like each other, but you might have one political party, both political parties, that might jockey in such a way to make you think, oh, we really don't like each other, so we're going to be, you're going to care. You don't have to really think about policies. You're thinking more in terms of how do I keep my base satisfied. That suggests that we actually do need to open it up so that there are other voices and that there's more competition. I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
So the number of people, the figure people always come up with from an informed perspective, evidence-driven perspective. Well, a couple of things struck the chord with me. One, the value systems of the country, of citizens, all of us. What are our own values? What do we stand for? So in developing or selecting an electoral system that works for us, I think our value systems must be taken into consideration. 2, how do we institutionalize our political parties? 3, the inclusion or the constant involvement of our courts in our electoral process. Not just here. One of our senior brothers, West African brothers, Professor Chidi Odinkalo, has done a fantastic book on that. The role of our courts in elections, in our electoral processes. That's something I'll get the title for you. I'll share that with you. He wrote a fantastic book on the involvement of the judiciary in our electoral processes. but also the cost of elections. When we had a conversation with the EMBs and the security sector 2 days ago, we were informed that for Tonko-Limba alone, the SLP deployed 600 troops for by-elections for council in Tonko-Limba. So imagine the human costs, logistics, all the costs involved, financial cost of deploying 600 troops for just by-elections of a council in Tonko-Limba. That's food for thought. But during my comparative analysis, also there is a table which maybe by the time we finish I can show that what the EMBs, how much money EMBs have had, or governments, successive governments have had to put into elections, but not just our Sierra Leone government or our international friends, how much money they've spent on elections, electoral management. That's huge. Those are also things that those are factors that we should take into consideration as we as a people decide or deliberate on the selection of or the choice of an appropriate electoral system. Dr. Julius Spencer, you've been around for a while. You've been a policymaker. You are a media guru with over 40 years experience. Your thoughts on the PR will be very, very helpful here. And also really bringing out the role of the media in this whole conversation will be very helpful.
Thank you, Joe. I have a feeling I'm the oldest person in this room. And I think that gives me certain privileges. Not to mention the fact that I've been around for a while. I've seen Sierra Leone go through various elections, different types of elections, multi-party, single party, one party, back to multi-party, first past the post, proportional representation, back to first past the post, now proportional representation. But I will state very clearly, and I think everybody knows my views. I'm an advocate for proportional representation. I started advocating for this in 2008, over 2 decades ago, almost 2 decades ago. Why? I'm sure all of us know about the World Happiness Report. And I start from there. The World Happiness Report for 2025 has been released. Now, the World Happiness Report does not rank countries based on how much laughter there is in a country, or how many jokes people tell. It looks at specific issues and indicators which they use to determine happiness in a country. And these indicators are income, life expectancy, social support, freedom, generosity, and trust in institutions. Those are the indicators that they look at. And the rankings of the first 15 countries in the world, all of them use one form of PR or the other. Every single one of them, the first 15. The 16th is the UK. The 18th is the United States of America. So in the first 20 countries ranked as the happiest in the world, only 2 use the FTP, whatever. Somewhere by E and T. And those 2 are the United Kingdom and the United States of America. Now, in Sierra Leone, we used first past the post for the first, how many decades? Until the war, 1996, we went to proportional representation, reason being that the whole country was not accessible, it was not possible to delimitate boundaries, etc., etc. We used the national list, closed list system. In 2002, we used the district closed list system. And then we went back to FPTP in 2007. Now, my observation is that during the period we were using FPTP, we had growing levels of violence, even under the one-party state. In fact, it became worse under the one-party state. When we went to proportional representation, it reduced significantly. Went back to FPTP, it reared its head again. Now we are in, we say it's proportional representation. Whether it actually aims at achieving the objectives of proportional representation, I'm not sure. Why do I say that? In 1996, there was no threshold. 2002, there was no threshold either. The system that was used was the largest remainder and the hair method. What is that? The total number of votes cast were divided by the number of seats available, and the number of votes that the party got determined the number of seats that were allocated to that party. Now, if you got, obviously, depending on the number of votes, you are not likely to get round figures. You'd have point something. And so, after the number of seats that the party got based on whole numbers, then they went to the balance, because all the seats will not be allocated, because there will be remainder seats because of those point something, point something. And the parties with the largest remainder, the seats were allocated like that. In 1996, parties got to parliament who did not even get 1% of the vote. In 2002, the same system was used at district level. Now come to 2023. We had one of the highest thresholds in the world. When you look at the thresholds used in most countries, you have 1%, 3%, 5%, 7%. You have between 8 and 10% for coalition parties. Most of them are below 10%. But you had 11.9%. And yet we pretended that you wanted small parties to have seats in parliament. We also pretended that independent candidates could win seats, when it was obvious that they could not. Now, where are we today? We have a society that is polarized and becoming more and more polarized. We have all sorts of issues. Incidentally, Sierra Leone ranked second in the World Happiness Report from the bottom. Yeah. The only country we are better than is Afghanistan. We rank second from the bottom. And when we look at the reasons, you can understand why. So, yes, there are advantages and disadvantages of whatever system. Lina is right. People are the ones that determine how a system works. Yeah. If we look at the United States of America, if they're not careful, they're going to end up in a dictatorship. If somebody succeeds in decimating the judiciary, they're going to end up in a dictatorship. People talk about what is the best system. People talk about a benevolent dictator. Yes, it works. But the difficulty of finding a dictator that is benevolent is where the problem lies. And when you look at the FPTP system, what you find that it tends to end up with a two-party system. Because when people vote, it gets to a point where they realize that if they're voting for a small party, they are wasting their votes. So people tend to coalesce around the larger parties. And in a society like ours, where you have ethnic groups, you have some major ethnic groups, and People talk about tribalism. I tell people no tribalism exists in Sierra Leone except when politics intervenes. The politicians are the ones that fan the flames of tribalism. I'm a Creole. I've traveled the length and breadth of this country. I've gone to a village, I don't know anybody, I don't speak the language. But I was given a place to sleep, the warm water for me to take a bath, they gave me food. They didn't ask me which ethnic group I belong to. So people move around, they intermarry. When politics is at play, then ethnicity rears its head. So what are we trying to solve in Sierra Leone? Our electoral system will not solve all our problems, but it can help mitigate some of the major ones. The system, by its very nature, makes for certain things. The PR system makes for more collaboration. You cannot wake up one morning, you have a few people around you and you decide this is what I'm going to do, and you do it. You have to consult. You have to get others on side. And at times it is difficult, yes, it makes governance perhaps a bit more difficult because you cannot just do what you believe is right. You have to get others on board. But is that not what we want? People say in the PR system you don't know your parliamentarians. Why do you need to know your parliamentarians? Why do people want to know their parliamentarians in Sierra Leone? I think we all know the reason. So they can go to them when they need to go to the hospital, Uncle Bondo, they go to their parliamentarians. And you have parliamentarians who are afraid to go to their constituencies because of the pressures that their constituents put on them. So, as I think Zeddy who said, even under the FPTP, many people did not know their parliamentarians. Just like many people did not know their councillors, me, they really, whether it's FPTP or whether it's proportional representation or I don't know my councillor. I don't know my councillor because in a way I'm independent. Can we have a system where the parliamentarians will be free to go to their constituents and consult them? Do our parliamentarians consult their constituents before going to take a position in parliament? Maybe some do, but the majority don't. And so we have parliamentarians who are supposed to be representing people, but they are almost invariably representing themselves. It is their views that they push in parliament. Now, until and unless our politicians, was I ever a politician? I served in government, so perhaps I was. But until our politicians can remove themselves from the situation and look at what is best for this country, and not view it from what is best for themselves, and not look at what they need to do to win elections for themselves, and look at what will serve the interests of this country best. What will make us more cohesive? What will make us all able to coalesce around certain issues? What do we need as a people? Our needs are the same, but we don't seem to be able to agree on them because this party moves in that direction. When some people support a candidate because they believe when that person wins, they get certain benefits. So, under the FTPT, I got that right, eh? Under the FPTP, under the FPTP, as has been said, is majority. Is it majority? Yes, but not necessarily above 50%. So you find that you have people representing perhaps a constituency where they did not even get 40% of the seats, of the votes. So maybe they got 35%, but they got the largest number of votes, so they are the representative. The rest, the 65%, are left out. If you look at the councils, same thing. You have what they call the ward committees. It is the parliamentarian who determines who gets onto the ward committee? What is the basis for making those elections? Now, I think that we can go beyond whether it's parliament and councils. Even the executive, in my view, should have some level of proportional representation. And we talk about cost of elections. It will further reduce the cost of election. One election, whoever gets the largest votes is the president. But everybody else who gets above a certain percentage should have a say in who gets appointed to whatever position, executive position, ministers, parastatals, ambassadors, etc. Why would that help us? Because whoever wins takes everything now. Takes everything, the rest get nothing. So what do we find happening? The party that wins, after maybe a few months, the rest of what they are focusing on, perhaps they tell us that they are doing development work, but whatever it is, with an eye to what they need to do to win the next elections. And the opposition, whatever they are doing is with an eye, how do we get this out and we take their place? So, if we can reduce that, and everybody can at some point after election focus on what needs to be done to develop this country, make life better for all the citizens, it will make life better for all of us. I'll stop there for now.
You can definitely do better. Come on.
Is that applause because of my age?
Age, wisdom, experience, everything, sir. And we do appreciate that. Well, just one point that we said. Our electoral system cannot solve all our problems, but it can help mitigate them. When he spoke, as he ended his intervention, when he mentioned the possibility, or when he recommended doing a simple majority, yes, when he recommended the possibility of doing the simple majority for the presidency, with a caveat that the other parties should have a role to play. I think that's where, for me, the powers of the president, that also brings that to the fore. I think we've had that conversation for years now in the constitutional review process. So I'm hoping that some of those things will come up again. But as we always say, nobody no one touch that one day. And you know why? Because when A is there, they're fine. When B is not there, he or she complains. But that's where we are right now. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'll be a lot more comfortable standing up. We're going to open this conversation up now. And I'll see, Bossman is looking at me right in my eye. Don't intimidate me. Yes. So we're going to open the floor. Gavin, you've listened to all the discussants. I'm sure there are things you'd like to comment on. But let's open it. Give our AG is in the house. You're not going to occupy that seat, please. Anyway, I'll allow you to settle. Ladies and gentlemen, we've listened to the panelists and the discussants. The floor is open. I know today is Saturday, but the floor is open. This is a very serious conversation that we must have as a people. I can see the hands up. Can we start with our sister right there? She's closer to you. There you go. Your name and the institution or organization you represent, please. The rapporteur is there.
Yeah, I'm Memuna MG Sherif. I'm representing Women's Forum on behalf of my president. Yeah, I'm just trying to add more to the suggestions, more suggestions on this, for us to engage more of the stakeholders in increased cooperation within political parties, especially in educating them about the PI system. or the first past the post. For me, in educating them more about the PR system will be fine, so that all political parties or other members from other groups will be able to know or to tell people around the different constituencies of this state about the importance of PR system, or educate them about what to do and what not to do. That's my take.
Thank you so much, Ma. By the
So
end of this conversation,
yeah, call the name and institutions.
yes, by the end of this conversation, Sunday we're moving to Port Loko. We're going to have something like this, a similar conversation in Port Loko. On Wednesday, we're going to be in McKinney, and Thursday over to Kenema. That weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be in the Kenema axis, and we end up in western area of Waterloo. Yeah, so there's a deliberate effort to involve the citizens, because we believe that everyone must have a say in this conversation. Yeah, and the tripartite secretariat is leading the all of us in that process. But at this point, Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, please, can you say a few words to us? I know we put you on the spot for a couple of days now. We started last week with the National Elections Watch, and he has been with us for the last 3 days. Please, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here. I have had the opportunity to engage with several actors over the past few days as part of these consultations. And as has been indicated to you already, this is actually part of our efforts to reform our electoral system in this country. And as you know, I walked in and one of the facilitators was actually saying that we want to ensure that this process is really broadly participating. And so that is what these discussions are about. Yesterday we had engagements with the political party representatives, and we have done same with AMBs and folks in the security sector. As he said, we'll do so across the country and tie this up with a national dialogue. The idea is that whatever the outcome of these discussions are, those will feed into reform of our electoral laws and systems. And I like to say that this really connects to our efforts to conclude the constitutional review process. And I will not go into the history of that process, a journey that we have walked over 20 years. And now really there's a commitment on the part of the President to conclude this process. We want these reforms to impact legislation, but then we also want them to find their ways into our national constitution, so that we, we can sustain the gains that we get out of these discussions. So your participation here is not something that we take lightly at all. Really appreciate the fact that you're taking time to do this for Sierra Leone. When I served on the tripartite committee, I kept saying to my colleagues both on the government and on the APC side that let's do this for Sierra Leone. And among all of the recommendations that we agreed on, this is one thing that we said we should take to the people. And these consultations are really a part of that process. Yes, in the 6 elections that we've had since we transitioned to multi-party democracy, we have had the benefit of both systems, right? First past the post as well as the PR system. And I'd also like to note that, whilst we have experienced these 2 systems, I think we've done first past the post 3 times and some PR system 3 times. But let's also note that there was a recommendation from the Constitutional Review Committee after broad consultations across the country, after looking at practices in various countries. There's also a recommendation that this country should transition permanently to the proportional representation system, because the consultations held by the Constitutional Review Committee pointed to the fact that there's an appetite for this kind of system. But then for government, it's not only about transitioning to the PR system. It's also about taking stock to see how both systems have worked in this country. Whatever we decide to do, the government wants us to do something that will work for the people of this country. And say, whilst government accepted the recommendation in the Kawan Constitutional Review Committee's report that we transition to the PR system, government also wants a discussion about what kind of PR system will work for this country. That is the route that we decide to take. I like to say that there's a reason why over 94 democracies across the world practice some form of PR system. I like to make emphasis on some form. That means there are variations. Of course, in Sierra Leone, we use the post-war model, and then, because we've done the district law, but then there are concerns about how the system has worked. And so, when we say, yes, several countries practice some form of PR system, it means we also have the opportunity to shape what works for our country. We have the opportunity to shape what will reflect the views and aspirations of the people of this country, so that we close the trust deficit that exists between people and government, so that the people will feel that their voices matter, and the people will also really believe that they have helped to shape a system that will not only work for all of us, but a system that will outlive us. These are considerations that we should have when we hold these discussions. So be rest assured that whatever comes out of these consultations, government is very, very committed to implementing these reforms. If the consultations reflect a position that says we go with first past the post system, that is what government will do. But if the consultations reveal that the people want a PR system, some form of PR system, that is what government will do. I also like to say that, as part of our efforts in shaping a system that will work for this country, I think one thing that we should also have in mind when we make recommendations is how we get a system that significantly reduces the polarization that we have in this country. I think we will all admit that the country has become deeply divided. But I think these discussions have the potential to closing that divide. One, based on how we participate in these discussions, based on what we recommend for the people of this country. So let's have that in mind. Yesterday, we had a discussion here about recommendation 78, which is the preferred electoral system. But I also said to the political party representatives that there's a need to have recommendation 70 in mind when we have these discussions. How do we ensure there's broad political participation? So these two are really closely connected. So when we discuss this, yes, let us also look at recommendation 70. As a lawyer myself, I like to say it's like privilege, right? We have several lawyers in Sierra Leone right now. You know, my colleague is here. We've had these discussions, and then we have the requirements of privilege. And I say to colleagues when we're discussing review of the Legal Practitioners Act, if you create a requirement for people, you need to provide conditions or the enabling environment for people to fulfill that requirement. So if we say lawyers must undergo, privilege, then we need to make sure that there is space for them to fulfill that. That is how I also see this. If we want to ensure political participation, as recommended in recommendation 70, we need to provide a space for political parties to meet that requirement. So maybe the way we shape recommendation 78, which is the preferred electoral system, will actually determine whether political parties will fulfill the requirement that we have created in recommendation 70. So let us have these in mind and not just discuss some of these subjects in isolation. But I want to thank you on behalf of government for taking time to do this. The President attaches the utmost importance to this, does not take it lightly at all. And so, thank you. And we look forward to receiving recommendations from these discussions. And you can count on the commitment of my office to ensure that these recommendations make their way into the law books of this country. Thank you to the facilitators, thank you to international media, thank you to the EU, and thank you to expert panelists for taking time to do so. Of course, thanks to you for being here as well.
Yes.
Sorry, as a referee,
Your name and institution.
Mohammed Kenewi, College Chief Electoral Commission. As a referee who will implement whatever the law gives us. And, well, I can be a testimony for both systems because I conducted my elections under the first past the post, and I conducted the general election using the PR system. So I've witnessed the good, the bad, and the ugly. At the moment, I'm enjoying the good of the PR system because people will only reference my name in discussion with reference to 2023, but not for by-elections. And however, I just want to make a threshold. For 2023 elections, we used the PR system, and the commission determined the threshold. And when the decision was made, we went to the archive of the commission. We also checked observation reports of the EU and so many other institutions. What we realized and how did we determine that? There was a threshold of 12.5% for 2002 elections. They were able to determine that the number of districts of 14 districts and divided by the number of seats of 112 and multiplied that by 100. So it was 12.5%. So we used the same system, the number of districts, 16 districts, for 135 seats, and multiplied that by 100. We got 11.8. So in other words, in 2002 we had a higher percentage threshold of 12.5%, while in 2023 we have 11.85 or 11.9. Thank you.
Gentleman there, and the lady next to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jan Keller from the National Youth Council. I've seen that majority are going for the PR system. And I just want to give some few highlights of the past 2020 elections and how it's actually somehow disadvantaged young people within the both parties. So I'm just bringing highlights of what my elder sister just said. It's how we use the system. Actually, we saw in some places that the community people actually wanted their own representation. When it gets to the party level, they have to choose who they want, which are disadvantaged somehow young people that are going into government system. Right? And it clearly states in the TRC system, recommendations made by the TRC. We want women, we want young people, we want people with disability in governance. I'm not saying the PR system is bad, but like what the Minister of Justice is saying, if we are to do reforms, it has to start with the political parties themselves. How are they going to build their parties, or how are they going to do the inclusive representation, bringing in young people, bringing in persons with disability, all of these things. So we want to see in the situation bearing, if we are going in for the PR system, which I think the majority is going in for, then the reform has to start with the political parties themselves. And I think there is one recommendation I would do. My brothers and elder mentors are here. The TRC recommend that 10% of young people should be involved in governance. The women are there, but we are not seeing young people. So we want that to be part of the policy.
Okay, thank you so much. Hold on, please. Please, let's make our contributions short and sweet, straight to the point, because we've got panelists here, we've got so many other people who would like to make their voices heard in this process. Let's have the one next to him, then you can move.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Abigail Stevens. I work for Center for Coordination of Youth Activities, CCY. I think I will take the words of the panel of the wise, Dr. Spencer. You said, you ended up by saying the electoral system cannot solve all our problems, but help mitigate them. I think from the discussions from our experts, all of the two systems, they have to help in our country. And one thing we need to know is for us to look at our context, our society as a country. Maybe I will not settle for any of the two at this particular time, but I want to encourage everybody to think out of the box, to see how best we can use the two systems, the good parts from the two systems, and see how we can make one, probably a mixed system or what we call a hybrid, in order for us to be able to mitigate our electoral system, like what Doc said. And I also want to join my colleague, because I'm working for the largest constituency. Please, we've had that 30% for us, the women, but also let the largest constituents, what we are fighting for, the 10%. Please, whatever system we resolve at, let them also have what they should have. Thank you.
Okay, we seem to be having there's a growing advocacy mission here for interest groups. Interest groups. Women who've had the now with young persons. Reverend, finally. Reverend, hold on one second.
I also want to add that, so when I say
not to discuss maybe 78 in isolation. I'm just going to the point that she just raised, about interest groups and representation. If you look at the recommendations in the tripartite report, there's actually one recommendation for youth groups to be represented. I think we said starting at 5%. And then there's also a recommendation that the Persons with Disabilities Act be amended to also reflect the need for representation, progressive representation starting at 2%. So there are these recommendations in the tripartite report, which we should also consider, as we discuss this preferred electoral system. I just wanted to throw that.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Reverend. Please, let's make it sweet and sharp, otherwise, like the power vested in me, your mic will be turned off. If you are 2 minutes, maximum 2 minutes each, others would like to make their contribution.
Do I have the floor now, sir?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I hope you understood my instructions. You will follow my instructions.
Even if you want me to sit now out. Or if you want me to talk, then I can talk.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. The more I relate to this process, the more I am falling in love with methodology. My name is Reverend James Nahai. I am the National Coordinator for National Election Watch. And like I said, the more I am relating to this process, the more I am falling in love with the methodology that is being employed. In this hall, we are having highly educated people. And as I am seeing, the discussion is in line with that category of people who are here. Because you will not be going to discuss with people in the regions in this format. I have had some experience also with our electoral systems. And issues that are being raised that are concerns are related to violence, related to cost of elections, related to issues of succession, and people are using that to bring out preferred, what should be the preferred. In the issue of violence, especially at by-elections, my observation is we only started getting violence at by-elections after the 2028 general elections. 2018, thank you. And that was when, for the councils, some councils were underrepresented and they needed to upgrade. This problem, as I have observed, is institutions. Whether they are sincere in administering their mandates. Constituency 101 was at. There are several rounds of that election. Thank you very much. I confused the two. I confused the two because we also had another one for the government, which was in Kalam district. 110 But when the Electoral Commission decided that we will apply the rules irrespective of who will be favored.
A place cannot produce poems. It can only not prevent them. And Freetown is good at that, for Freetown has its own sudden elegancies. People are slow to leave it, quick to return. And there are others who come for a year or two and stay for a lifetime, sensing that they found a city that is in the world, yet sufficiently on the edge of it to have a different resonance. Let me tell you something about this city. All of us, we're all just passing through, and we've all been here forever. Those who came, those who stayed, those who never returned. Tides turn, seasons change. We've waited and we've watched, but we've always been here.
viewers, welcome back to your #1 TV station for news and updates. I am your host for today, and my name is Ambassador Slbc Tv, taking you through today's session. And this is Live Spelling Bee on Slbc TV. Today I am here with the founder of Spelling Bee. Please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Sierra Leone, the founder of ICBAI Sierra Leone National Spelling Bee and the founder of Save Dignity of Women and Children in Sierra Leone.
Okay, yes, and we also have volunteers who have been volunteering with ICBAI for as long as 2 years. Please let them introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Juliet Lawson and I'm a volunteer of ICBAI.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Abdulrahman Bangura and I'm a volunteer of the ICBAI Spelling Bee.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, today we know they can spell, today we not get participants that we there for can spell. Today we the members of the International Capacity of Building Association International can do an update on what done they go on behind the scenes. Today we can tell you now the upcoming events when the African Spelling Bee were there in July and then the Intercontinental Spelling Bee in September. But first things first, I want to introduce the topic for today, when youth empowerment. Now, the word youth empowerment is very common right now because the youths are going through. Now, what does it mean to be truly empowered as a young person in Sierra Leone today? How can Spelling Bee, education, and even simple platforms like this TV program help shape the next generation of leaders, thinkers and doers? Now, let us talk about briefly what youth empowerment really is. Now, when they say youth empowerment, it simply means giving young people the tools, confidence and opportunities to make decisions and to take charge of their lives. Now, why is youth empowerment important, especially for today? We are not just the future, we are the present, and our voices, our talents, our education, they all matter now. Now, how does platforms like ICBAI Spelling Bee contribute to youth empowerment? Now, through literacy confidence, we build public speaking attitude and a healthy competition. We have been established since 2010, and since then we have made it known to the general public that one of the main goals of ICBAI is for us to create a platform where young people can freely express themselves without undue pressure. It doesn't matter how old you are, we don't care if you are in university, we want every single young person to feel empowered. Because like I said earlier, we are the future, we are the present. Now I'm going to ask our founder of Spelling Bee, as she has been working with children for as long as since 2010. So yes, ma, what would you say about this topic for today as youth empowerment?
Youth empowerment, as you likely said, is empowering the youths to be blunt or to know how to speak publicly, or empower them with skills, create the platform and give them the tools so that they can be able to do something on their own. As you rightly also said, that you give them the confidence to speak up or to speak in public and all the rest. I think I'll stop there for now.
Okay, thank you. Now we'd also want to hear from someone who's also a youth, a young person in Sierra Leone, who would be also the present and the future leaders of Sierra Leone. Please welcome Miss Juliet Lawson. What do you have to say about youth empowerment?
I would say youth empowerment is a very wide topic. I would say youth empowerment has to do with a lot of things, like what makes up youth empowerment. It's not just about creating the platform or getting them ready with the essentials, but it's also making them know their rights and the things that would set them on the edge. In terms, there's a lot of rights going on, but most things that we do not educate these young people on is what will happen if they go overboard, if they cross boundaries, certain things that are set in place to protect them, to make sure they have a future that is very bright, especially for young boys. We can see now the area of the Kush that is rampaging, that is doing a lot of harm. We are losing a lot of young people, and we have to get up. Rather than always sensitizing, we need to actually find things that work. We need to go into strategies. We need to imply techniques that would actually work, and that will take a lot of people sitting down and actually talking about these things and finding the root causes. I believe that is one of the key things that would help to enhance youth empowerment.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Lawson. Like we all know that empowerment begins with education, but it grows when young people are given the chance to express themselves. In other words, I mean, just a few days ago we were celebrating the African Child's Day on June 16, where we also had the theme, which is planning and budgeting on how to empower we the young people. And I was privileged to be on air on WeYard, on Facebook and YouTube Live, and we had a conversation where I had communicated that yes, indeed, we over the years since 2010 to 2025 now, we have seen progress, we see successes as well, but we don't believe it's enough because youth are still dying, youth are still taking kush, youth are still doing a lot of things that are making us to retrogress rather than progress. So I feel like yes, they asked us with UNICEF, other children programs, humanitarian efforts that every other private institution is putting in. Is it really helping and empowering us as children? Now we had the Waska for those people those young men who wanted to do something with their lives. But aren't they the same people who are taking drugs now, who are taking kush now, who are stealing? So you see, there is more to youth empowerment than just bringing 1 or 2, 3 ideas. We need to be sustained. We also want to talk about a lot of things that have been going on concerning ICBAI. Like I said, we also have our ongoing competitions. We are preparing for our private school competition, our inter-school spelling bee competition, and we also have to represent Sierra Leone internationally on African Spelling Bee in July, and also the Intercontinental Spelling Bee in Dubai. So I want to hear, in fact I feel like we all want to hear from the founder of Spelling Bee, as she has been not only a pillar, but she has also been passionately working for Spelling Bee to thrive. So we want to hear what has been going on lately behind the scenes. What do you need from the viewers? What do you need the viewers to know? Yes, ma'am.
We have, as usual, the annual Intercontinental Spelling Bee. That is the global spelling bee that takes place every September in Dubai. Sierra Leone is to be represented as usual at the global spelling bee, and the plans are ongoing. We are working alongside with the parents, teachers and heads of schools, and in collaboration with the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education this time. Let's clap for Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. This time they are standing tall to make sure Sierra Leone be represented. So we are working hard. We are parents in particular. We have series of activities that we are coming up with. We'll be having sponsored show, sponsored work. We'll be having a dinner, yes, dinner and dance for VVIPs. That is directors, general managers, directors of institutions, different organizations. So all of these things we are working on it. You will soon see our banners on the streets of Sierra Leone. I think even foreign Ministry of Tourism is passionate to come on board to be part of this. So we have, I don't want to say the secret, we all know Salone. Salone, we don't want to see good thing happen. We're ready for cause problem, especially with Ikbai Spelling Bee. So many things they happen behind the scene that we just want to make sure when it's come up, you see as you see them.
Okay, thank you so much. As we have heard from the CEO and the founder of Spelling Bee, we have a lot of things cooking behind the scene. So to be updated, please don't forget to call the number on your screen for any further information. And you can also visit us at number 12 Baconfield. We are still on the topic youth empowerment. Please let's not forget. We are also going to be discussing how we, Ikbai, create the platform for youth to feel seen and heard. Now, we all know Spelling Bee is usually going on stage and spelling, but with Ikbai, there is more to it actually. With Ikbai, we are here to empower children by letting them know that the world is a stage. You are the author, you are the architect, you are the designer. You know, your life is always what you make it. So we create a platform where children can also come out, show, express their talents. And we also have training sessions where we teach children how to sew. We have all these things in mind actually. It's just that we don't have the fundings, but we are working towards it. As she said, a lot of things is cooking behind the scenes. Also, we want to hear from our PA of the Ikbai Spelling Bee, who has been working not only behind the scenes. We have seen her. She has been the one to host the Valentine's Spelling Bee for the past 2 years, and we have seen that we have been very, very successful. We would also want to hear from you what has been happening so far when it comes to Ikbai Spelling Bee.
Good afternoon again, viewers, and my name is Juliet. So far with Ikbai Spelling Bee, we've been working on sourcing out funds to make sure the kids will be able to attend this year's Intercontinental Spelling Bee in Dubai. And so there are lots of kids that are yearning, that are excited to go to Dubai to represent Sierra Leone and fly the flag high. But like we know, funds are needed for occasions and events like that. And so we are calling upon private institutions, public institutions, individuals, people that see the passion and the need to help young children enhance their abilities and chase their goals. And so far so good. We've been trying and doing all we can, but we are calling on the public to help in whatever little way they can, because we believe a little drop of water can make a mighty ocean.
Okay, thank you so much, as we have heard from one of our volunteers. And please be reminded, when we are here and we are sourcing out, finding ways to source out funds, we are not only reaching out to public sectors. Please be reminded, like we said, for us, Ikbai is like a family, not only an organization. It was founded in passion. And because of that, we are not only reaching out to public sectors, we also want private institutions, you as an individual, the mom, the auntie, the uncle, the grandparents, you can, it doesn't have to be financial, okay? We also have books we need to give our kids. Like I said, Ikbai, we're not only limited to Freetown, we're not only limited to cities. We want to go out there to Pujehood, then picking a way, not get opportunity for actually get this kind of platform where they go express themselves, where they go able for grow. That pikin they go backyard school na Bo, that pikin they go backyard school na Pujehood, Bombali district. We they make sure say we the host and their Google district spelling bee, so then picking nobody no go talk say there not be no say spelling bee they go on. We want the all picking equal opportunity, equal rights to education. As we all know, you are never too young to lead and never too small to make a difference. This is a quote by Greta Thunberg. So please remember, as today we talk about youth empowerment, you the youth when they watch this show, so even if you dey on radio by mistake, please, that push show they take in order for go to you before that drug, in order for be push safe. Because they get tramadol, they get 225, all kind of drugs they can have for straight with the youth. Una remember say now the present and the future. If we not snap and fix this year so, then tomorrow by salon go what's pass away this so. Please, now we get for be the future ministers, the future ambassadors. Now we get for represent Sierra Leone in both internationally and nationally. So we need for Tinap Tranga one, because we know say how we don't start so, if we able for come together in unity, we dey able for face this year where they affect with the youth them. But now we go for a short break and we go come back and continue with discussion about youth empowerment. Welcome back. This is live spelling bee on Slbc Tv. If you don't still join us now, please we talk on the topic youth empowerment. But for now, we also are lobby for funds. As I said earlier, we also have upcoming trips. Now, since its establishment in 2010, the Initiative in Capacity Building Association International has been committed to empowering children across Sierra Leone by providing platforms that go beyond academics, encouraging self-expression, confidence, and growth through initiatives like the Spelling Bee. More than just a competition, the Spelling Bee fosters leadership, literacy, and creativity in young learners. Over the years, our champions have made it to prestigious stages, including the African Spelling Bee and the Intercontinental Spelling Bee held in Dubai. Sierra Leone was proudly represented in 2022 and again in 2024 by Ambassador Aisalusi Malosin, our only participant on both occasions, fully sponsored by her parents due to a lack of institutional support. While we have worked closely with institutions like the Ministry of Education, limited funding continues to hinder wider participation, leaving many talented children behind. As we prepare for the African Spelling Bee this July and aim to return to Dubai this September, we are calling on both private and public sector, including you as an individual. So together we can ensure Sierra Leonean children not only compete, but thrive on global platforms with pride, purpose, and possibility. Please don't forget to call the number on your screen for any further enquiries. As we continue to talk on the topic youth empowerment, we also have another volunteer here with us again who will also contribute to this topic. Yes, sir, what do you have to say about youth empowerment as someone who has been reaching out to the youth, joining organization, clubs, just to know that, oh yes, we want to create a platform for youth where they know that indeed, there are people that are lobbying for them?
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. One thing I want youth out there to know is that you cannot only depend on the government for you to empower yourself. You can empower yourself by involving in different activities, just as what we are doing right now. We are empowering ourselves. Since I've been part of ICBI, NASNET, VOC, and different organizations, CFN and different organizations, we have always been reaching out to youth out there in order to see how best they can involve in skills making, education, and so on and so forth. So as a youth, my only advice for you is that you need to empower yourself, find anything for you, anything possible for you to involve in, and something that can be beneficial to you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Don't forget to say ICBI, we are giving children more than a competition. We are giving them confidence, creativity, and a chance to just be kids. So don't forget, say we get upcoming competition. July, we get African Spelling Bee, and September, we get Intercontinental Spelling Bee in Dubai. Don't forget, say, you not only get for be money, books, pen, textbooks, ruler, sharpener, pencils. These are all things that we picking go use for empower yourself through education. As we also come to a close, as the ambassador for Spelling Bee in a salon, I want to talk na Creole, so even the middleman go away. IPADO exists since 2010, and we have been lobbying for IPADO Spelling Bee has existed since then, and we have existed since 2006, and since then we have reached out to AYV TV 98.1, Slbc TV, and we have used all these platforms to reach out not only to private institutions, public institutions, but also individuals. Over the years, we have had participants from both the rural areas and from the cities. So please, now beg we beg, we not picking there, and we need help for be empowered. Please, don't not forget say that small tea way they give. That if na packet water safe, it they go far because you don't know that picky way they not treat. That why we're gonna look up to you as a role model. If you dey help and small, Tuma Bamba, you never can tell what's in that person they go turn out for me. So please, not forget say youth empowerment means say you dey give youth them the tools we'll be able for use for create a future for we say. As I come to a close, not forget say this na Slbc TV. We dey every Saturday by 1, where they end 2. Not forget for call the number on your screen for further inquiries. The number that you screen is 076374842. If you want call, you can call the number that you screen and we go pick your call for any further inquiries. The number is 076374842. Okay? Since we not get to caller yet, we go still let talk on the topic youth empowerment. But we go review with last statement from the founder and the CEO of Spelling Bee.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Aisa Lucie Malosin. She is the Global Ambassador 2022, and she is the best African speller. Can you imagine? We must be proud of her. As I don't talk, we dey talk to now, we dey beg everybody. All man, like I said, don't talk ministers, directors, you where they sell Plaza, anything can go. You can even decide, say, well, I go adopt one of them picking there, wait for go Dubai. Me go buy tickets for them, or I go provide passport for them, or I go provide a coach fee, how for call a sea coach transport for go and come. I go provide in airport tax. Or you where they design, you where they sew. Now then thing there, if I for advertise, we are not only limited to sponsorship or support. We na partnership we prefer. You where they sew, you get your boutique, you go decide say, well, me go provide green, white and blue clothes, or me go design clothes for them here where they go, or the volunteers the way they go, 6 clothes. At least you said go there Ubana. As of now, with a plan for we design Ubana there. Una go soon see banners there out. We want for see organizations, institutions there, vendors them. We go say, well, me go support, me go give water. We get in one thing what we they tell man. We just done the Body Street Spelling Bee. We want go Pujan, we want go Kailan, we want go Cambia, we want go, you name it, Kamakwe, all of these districts as Isa don't come. You go decide say, well, Spelling Bee, me go responsible for the Kamakwe district Spelling Bee. Me go responsible for Cambia. You know, we get these politicians that then feel say no more, now for buy drugs or buy it. Give we youth them for make them. Now one way this una can campaign. Waiting do una come, una ask me say, una tell me say, we go sponsor not Tobaku, una sponsor the Kamakwe district Spelling Bee. We go with one day for una go see the effect. Make people then see say una self wants for make the layman there picking the land book. You can provide scholarship for them picking there. You go provide uniform. You go provide shoes. You dey provide any kind of thing because you want go now all of them districts there. You get macaroni, you get rice, you get oil, you get palm wine, you get pepper. You can give with the whole lamb because all of these things we dey use them. So we dey beg and talk to every Sierra Leonean. If 2 hands two better hands go able to develop Sierra Leone. Not a we no more good one. So we dey beg everybody, the district councils, you go say where you go give it all. With everybody, we want to now for come on board. For the international competitions, we need everybody in support. I think you can adopt Peking say well. Me go sponsor one Peking for go Dubai. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harding. As we have heard from the CEO of IPAI Slbc, please, any little thing is a support. Any little thing, like one of our volunteers just said, a little drops of water make a mighty ocean. Remember, opportunities come, and whenever they come, we are expected to grab them. Now, thank you for tuning to Slbc TV. We are here every Saturday 1 p.m. Until we see again, goodbye.
A place cannot produce poems. It can only not prevent them. And Freetown.
It takes its name from the Arabic word for emptiness, Al-Zahara. But the Sahara is really a collection of deserts, and the most remote is the Tenere. I set out to cross the Tenere in the way caravans have done for 1,000 years. It'll mean a journey of 1,200 miles over rock and sand by vehicle, camel and on foot, and it's a dangerous journey. For in this sweltering, desiccated furnace, death strikes the weak, the ill-prepared or the unlucky. They call it the land of fear. My name is David Adams, and as a photojournalist, I've made a point of going to some of the world's most remote places. My journey starts in the African Republic of Niger, a former French colony where the Tenere meets the Aya Mountains, which is why I'm in the ancient city of Agadez. Agadez is a mud city, and there seems no end to the patterns that clay and straw can achieve. It's also a holy city of Islam. This mosque, claiming to have one of the highest mud minarets, in all of Africa. It's a city that got rich on trade. Less than 100 years ago, slaves, gold and ivory were sold here in the Agadez markets. Just love the chaos of these markets in Africa. You can get absolutely anything and everything's being bargained and it's all over the place. Sugarcane, onions, grain from Niger, and then there's this stuff, salt. It's actually been the mainstay of this whole area of Africa for probably more than 1,000 years. And it's the great salt caravans that bring it here. This is Caravan Central, first port of call after crossing the wilderness. From north, south, east and west, they converge on Agadez because it straddles one of the great desert crossroads of Africa. Everything about these markets is geared to caravans. Clothing, footwear, headwear, even a haircut. Meat, drinks and fruit for a lengthy desert crossing. And of course, food for the camels too.
Doesn't look very happy, does he? I think he's probably really upset because he can't eat it. It's sort of the reverse of having a carrot hanging in front of you. You've got lunch on your back and you can't do anything about it.
This is truly stepping back in time. Here we are at the dawn of a new millennium, and there are still people wearing swords. They're called the Tuareg. Not people that you'd want to mess with. Only 18 months earlier, they were in full armed rebellion against the Niger government. So if you want to travel to the desert and survive, you need their help. Which is why I've got to go 120 miles to the north. That's 200 kilometres to Chimia, a place famous for its camel races. Here I'll find the people I need to get me across the Tenere. So these are the people I'd come to meet, the legendary warriors of the desert. And they wouldn't look out of place in a Star Wars movie either. The Tuareg once ran an empire that controlled the Central Sahara. No caravan could pass without their say-so. There are many theories about their origins. Some say they're one of the lost tribes of Israel. Others that they were originally Christian, hence the prevalence of the cross as a Tuareg motif. But today they're Muslim, and in stark contrast to the Islamic norm, it's the men who cover their faces, while the women leave theirs unveiled. The Tuareg are fiercely competitive, many of them riding up to 4 days just to take part in this race. And today that's all it is, a race. Not long ago, they'd have lined up like this for a warrior's charge. They're off, and there's lots of jostling for the lead, which sometimes leads to accidents. And what an awesome sight. These are descendants of desert pirates who as recently as the 1990s were still raiding caravans with lance and sword. Somehow, I don't think nature ever designed a camel to gallop. It's more of an awkward lollop, half canter, half trot, not very comfortable for the rider. And it isn't a race for the faint-hearted. The course is just over 2 miles, or 3.5 kilometres. Plodding across the Tenere with a caravan won't be quite like this. It takes 10 minutes to cross the line, and when they do, it'll be to the cheers of their women and the jeers of their rivals. It's going to be interesting crossing the desert with men like these. There'll be many races today, and in between, the dancing. A chance for the warriors to let off steam, and for me, a chance to take some photographs.
It's actually perfect moments like this, when there's an amazing picture and your camera breaks. This is my panoramic, and it's not working. This will never happen again, so I'll have to go and fix it.
On they dance until the prize giving. And this is the prize.
Whoa, fantastic.
The legendary sword of the Tuareg, the takuba. And it's certainly not a toy.
They use takuba for fighting, because it's something who every man, every Tuareg man will have a takuba.
But today they're more for show, he says, a symbol of manliness. But for a weapon that's just a symbol, it's extraordinarily sharp, the perfect prize for a warrior. So these races are about more than just rewarding winners. They're about creating legends. It's as if we're back in the Middle Ages, in the time of the Moors, Crusader knights, and tales of chivalry and honour. I'm preparing to cross the desert. To help me, a team of Tuareg will show me the way to the Tenere and beyond.
Is there anything else for up here? Yeah, lots.
Camping equipment, tools, spare wheels and spare parts, diesel fuel, medical supplies, rations for 3 weeks, and of course, plenty of water.
Okay.
We decided not to take tents. It hasn't rained in the Tenere for 15 years, and it isn't likely to for another 15. But I did bring these.
Can't go anywhere without the old skis.
We're heading north into bandit country. Our route takes us through the heart of Niger's Aya Mountains. This was a Tuareg stronghold during the rebellion. It's desert all right, but just in case you're wondering where the sand dunes and mirages are, well, relatively little of the Sahara is sand dune, and a hell of a lot of it is mountainous. Some of these arid peaks are over 7,000 feet high. I wanted to explore them. I wanted to go deep into them where no European had ever gone. And to do that, I had to start in the isolated town of Ifuan. Here, everything's improvised. Buckets become drums, wires become toys, and an old plastic container will do as a soccer ball.
Look out, watch your fingers. That's good, huh? Oh, I think it's rotten. Ha. Tuh. I don't know how long this thing's been sitting in the sun. It doesn't taste very good.
If I'd have been walking down these streets 18 months earlier, there's a fair chance I'd have been kidnapped and held for ransom. This was a Tuareg headquarters during the rebellion. Today all is quiet, and I'm just a figure of curiosity. Word was getting out that there was a stranger in town. Maybe I'd like to ride a camel. If so, wouldn't I like to buy a saddle? Or maybe one of those murderous Tuareg swords.
This is a really old one. Looks like these are the old alchemic moon symbols, which you only find on the really old swords. No, not Puma. I don't think these guys take no for an answer in selling anything.
But why would I want to buy it when I can get one made to order? These must be some of the world's last swordsmiths to make swords for combat. A blade of the finest cutting steel, which 500 years ago would have come from European cities like Toledo or Padua. Today's takaba is more likely to have been forged out of Toyota bumpers.
Parlez-vous anglais? Speak English? I'm looking for a guide.
I'm a guide.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I want to go from Iloane across the Air Mountains into the Tenere.
I can do it for you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have camels?
I have camels.
Because I would like to go either today or tomorrow, if it's possible. Yeah?
Tomorrow perhaps, but now you have to wait. I buy a cell for my camel, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah? You can wait.
Yeah, I can wait, sure.
Yeah.
And that's how I came to meet Hoya Abdurrahmana, a man who'd become my guide and mentor, a man who'd helped me to understand more about Tuareg culture. Out in the desert, Hoya's family live a nomadic life, moving from camp to camp with their animals in search of feed.
So the family has been here for 3 weeks?
They need to be near water, but not too near. An old custom forbids Tuaregs to camp nearer than 5 miles from water, lest their children grow up taking it for granted. It's rare that one gets the chance to meet the Tuareg at first hand. And what a greeting.
Hello. Bonjour, David.
It means how are you, how are your parents, your family, your children, your grandparents, and so on.
That's a fantastic handshake. David, bonjour.
Can you go and greet my family?
Yes, yes.
This is my sister. Yeah.
Bonjour.
The two here are my sisters. The third one is my wife.
Bonjour, madame.
His name was called Abzaw here too.
Abzaw here
Abzaw, yeah.
Abzaw.
Abzaw.
And what does it mean?
Huh?
What does Abzaw?
They give him this name depend to his color. Yeah.
So Abzaw means white?
The white. Abzaw is white, but not very white. It's not very, very white. It's near white. Yeah.
Abzaw.
So it's on Abzaw that I'll ride into the Tenere, perched on a Tuareg saddle with what look like sharp, trident-shaped handlebars.
And Hoya, what are the spikes for, these ones?
This protect protection for Takuba.
From the sword?
Yeah, from the sword.
Oh, so when they were fighting, this is so
Yes.
that you didn't get cut?
You go behind and Takuba, you stay here.
Because I thought it was for me to hang on to.
Not for taking.
Oh.
Not for
Saddlecloths, provisions, and a traditional water bottle made of goat skins. But there's something missing.
And where are the stirrups? There are no stirrups? No stirrups. Okay. And there's something I remember about camels and committees. And this one looks particularly well designed. It's also got a very good temperament, I think.
Now this is the easy way of mounting a camel. If you want to do it the Tuareg way, just grab its chin, climb up on its neck, and spring into the saddle before it bites you. Easy. So off we ride into the mountains towards one of the highest peaks in the Aya, Adra Tamgak. As we go, Hoya sings me songs about his Tuareg heroes and their exploits in battle. We're heading up a dry riverbed through the Tamgak corridor, the start of a major caravan route to the Tenere. So it's a bit of a surprise to get our feet wet quite so soon. It was the last water we'd see for over a week. By now, I'm getting to know Hoya. Not long ago, he was a wealthy man who owned over 100 camels. But he got caught up in the Tuareg rebellion against the Niger government. It absolutely ruined him, leaving him with just these 2 camels. In the rebellion, many of his friends were killed. As I was to discover, Islam is central to Hoya's life.
When I was praying, it means I was I take contact with God. I pray for him. I must do this for him, and I will ask him what I want.
That night, Hoya brewed a pot of strong Tuareg minted tea, which has to be poured back into the pot 3 times. Why do you pour it 3 times?
3 times is something we see with our ancestors. If when somebody 1 tea or 2 was not happy, it's not good. It's not a good thing like this. It's a tradition for our ancestors.
Next morning, we've got company. A family of baboons appears from nowhere, in the middle of this Aya mountain wilderness.
It's a big one here. I see him before. the chief is sitting on this big stone here. The boss.
These are the big black ones?
There are red ones too, but
Yeah.
they didn't stay here. They didn't stay together because they fight against.
Right. And that's not a yawn, it's a threat. His way of letting you know that you've come quite close enough. But what's so amazing is that they're here at all, in an arid place like this. As it happens, they're relics from a different age. Oh, wow. That looks like a whole family.
It's a family here.
And how old do you think these are?
Maybe around 8,000 years.
I'll take some photographs of this. This is great. They're animals long gone from this desolate wilderness. Yet their images have been faithfully recorded in stone. It just goes to show the power of climate change. When Tutankhamun sat on the Egyptian throne and King Solomon ruled Israel, this would have been lush savanna land with plenty of game for hunter-gatherers. Whoever carved these 7,000 to 10,000 years ago sat here in a very different landscape than I do, because what he saw out on the plains was giraffe, ibex and all the other animals here on these rocks, and all I can see is dunes. There before me is what I've come all this way to see, the great Tenere Desert, washing like a gigantic ocean of sand across the rocky coastline of the Air Mountains. So reunited with my vehicles, we head off into the desert, with Hoya coming along as my guide. Towards midday in the Tenere, the burning sun heats the sand to over 110 degrees. Not good for driving, even for our Tuareg friends. And they're some of the world's best desert four-wheel drivers.
Now it's hot, I think it's not so easy to...
Yeah. Looks like we might be having lunch here, I think. The problem is that the sun is so hot at the moment that all the sand is really, really light, and so they can't get any traction. We may even have to wait till late in the afternoon. So we let air out of our tyres. Deflated tyres cover more surface area and gain more traction. And once into the real desert, we can get up quite a speed. Once into the Tenere, all the desert is a road, where each car makes its own track. The Tuareg always drive in formation, always in sight of one another.
Yet you can get lost in a mirage long before you ever reach the horizon. Here the sand is firm and the drive is easy, but where the dunes are soft and steep, that's where their driving skills really kick in. The trick seems to be to run up to the crest, brake at the very last moment, and then let the car gently slide down, and there you go. But sometimes even the Tuareg get it wrong. It was our first accident, and we're 400 miles from the nearest service station.
Nobody's hurt. What's happened is the bags come right through